Hi, this is the Bitcoin Morning Brief. I'm Leah Wald here with Jimmy Song and Tone Vase. It's a beautiful day. Jimmy, how are you doing?
I am doing great. It is indeed a very beautiful day.
Yeah, Tone, how about you?
I agree. It's a great day. As you can see,
What the hell are you doing?
I am back in the woods where I run my miner, and for obvious reasons, no one is ever going to mess with my miner. Uh,
Huh. Tone, is that an
uh,
axe and what
no,
else?
no, that's not an axe.
Isn't it? Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
it
Are
actually
you
is
are
not.
you in some like post-apocalyptic world where you have to fend off zombies that can't be stopped with guns or something? Is that what you're
Sometimes.
doing? Okay. All right. It's kind of a weird backdrop there. But yeah, not creepy at all.
All right,
Not
let's
creepy at
get
all.
Tone off the screen here. All right, Machete Vase. So first one, DHS official, blockchain hype creating tension, tech providers and agencies. So the DHS official really is saying that there's a lack of experts in the space, saying that specifically excessive hype among blockchain vendors is hindering implementations. Jimmy, what do you think about what you read?
Well, so it's like the blockchain hype is exactly that. It's actually hype. So I kind of agree that it is causing tension. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a I don't know. It's a regulatory thing. I'm not really interested in what some bureaucrat thinks about this, that, or the other. I mean, obviously, it's hindering a lot of these businesses, but a lot of these businesses aren't really businesses. They're kind of scammy. So I don't know if there's that much there other than, these agencies may be prosecuting them for fraud at some point. But that's, yeah, it just seems like a non-story on top of a non-story. Blockchain tech in of itself, it tends to be much ado about nothing. A lot of people are just sort of afraid to say that the emperor has no clothes. And then there are people arguing about the clothes that the emperor doesn't have. That's what this story feels like to me.
I would agree. Tone, what do you think about what Jimmy's saying in the story? And also given that, right, they're talking about vendors. And as we well know, the government spends trillions and trillions of dollars each year awarding contracts to vendors. So it seems like it's the broader ecosystem, not just within government. But what do you think?
Well, I think it's all going to depend on, who are the advisors to these people, right? I'm hoping that the people at DHS will figure out that blockchain in supply chain management is totally useless. But if they get convinced by a bunch of, really scammy consultants that blockchain is useful for supply chain management, they're going to go ahead and waste money on some company that's going to fail in bring in any legitimate. I mean, look, it's like Jimmy always says, if you have to use the word blockchain to upgrade your database, it's a good thing, but it's not a blockchain, right? The person has to make up their mind. I think that as far as Department of Homeland Security goes, they should be pretty up to speed on what Bitcoin does. They should be pretty up to speed what it means to have unconfiscatable, permissionless value transfer. But as far as how this technology progresses into other parts of global tech, I'm still skeptical, and they must be outright confused if I'm still skeptical and Jimmy's still skeptical on how blockchain is going to help anything other than permissionless value transfer for the time being.
Absolutely. And this story goes into the next, although speaking about the legislature, and I absolutely agree with what both of you guys are saying. Okay, blockchain is world changing, says United States Congressman during supply chain hearing. So what happened yesterday was two United States House subcommittees, held hearings on blockchain tech and specifically supply chain management. I saw it as quite positive on blockchain. However, again, they were noting that the blockchain industry generally is lacking standards and understanding. Jimmy, I'll go back to you again. What did you think of the hearing?
I obviously did not watch the hearing in any way, shape, or form. But again, this is talking about the clothes that the emperor doesn't have. I don't know. It doesn't, like, of course there's no standards. There's no real products. There's no real anything really. It's just sort of people trying to sound important about stuff that they don't really understand or have built anything around. So if they were talking about Bitcoin, that would be actually interesting. This to me is just a bunch of people wanting to sound important that are just sort of holding hearings. This is what Washington does when they want to show the populace that they're actually relevant or something to some technological innovation. And the hearings are kind of meaningless. It's not really about anything, and they're asking it's a blind leading the blind. I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense to me.
Absolutely. And most likely it was one of staffers of Loudermilk that wrote potentially just talking points. Tone, my question to you is, I know that you were following at one point Perry Ann Boring, who was the CEO, or currently is the CEO of the Chamber of Digital Commerce. What I saw this a bit sad is that there actually have been associations and other organizations in the space that are supposed to be set up and are paid a lot of money to advise on what a blockchain actually is. Although, again, I still see this as the industry and all of government, from DHS and the agencies to the legislature, still not understanding one damn thing. So what do you think of the story? And also, just given that you've been following and know some of these experts, why is there such miscommunication?
Again, it goes back to the advisors, right? Like Perry and Boring and her organization have consistently gotten the definition of a blockchain wrong, and they continue to promote companies that are totally useless and have nothing to do with blockchains, and just using that buzzword in order to get contracts. And this is one of the reasons why this is happening. And since we're talking about supply chains and blockchains, this is probably one of the best articles. Thank you for pulling that up. It's probably one of the best articles I've read on the concept of a blockchain being used in supply chains. I didn't have this article in the video description, but I'm going to go ahead and add it because it's very relevant to our current discussion. So I advise everyone to read this article before they continue in this fairy tale belief that blockchain is going to solve anything in supply chain management.
I would agree. So let's move on to the next one. I think we're all on the same page with that one. Okay, accused crypto fraudster faces skeptical judge over his defense. So don't know who's been following this one. I know Tone was interested. I assume all of us. Zaslinsky, sorry if I'm destroying that. Tone, you'd be able to pronounce it.
Man, I wish I was following this. I probably would have shown up at the trial. Like, I'm actually curious. They say a date, right? When was the next hearing set for? It's towards the bottom of the article. Someone's gonna have to remind me. If I'm in town, I'm gonna try January 7th. Holy damn, that's like a year away.
Yeah.
They don't actually go that fast. Yeah, in the legal world.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, wait, did I lose volume on you guys?
Nope, I think we're still
Nope, we're on.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's insane. January 7th. I'm gonna have to put a reminder in my calendar or something because I want to come to this thing. So, I mean, if you read this story, right? So the guy was selling an ICO backed by real estate and diamonds and whatever else, and there was nothing backing his ICO. And he's claiming that they have no jurisdiction over him because, well, it's an ICO. It doesn't exist. An ICO, according to him, is not a security in the same way, this shadow of an axe is not actually an axe, right? That's kind of what he's claiming that it is. And the judge seemed very, from reading the article, the judge seemed very pissed off that the current SEC and other regulators have not, defined ICOs as securities, because the judge even pointed out, without calling it what it's called, the Howey Test, which was basically people selling contracts on orange trees down in Florida. They're selling you a contract, and you are the owner of an orange tree, but we're going to pick the oranges for you. And all you have to do is just own this contract that you own the orange trees. And that was a security. And that's the famous Howey test that everyone talks about, where you are buying into a contract and you're handing over money, and the money is being used under the control of others, and you have an expectation of profit. And for the last century, or 60 years since this law came into effect, everyone has been trying to weasel around the concept of I sell you X, and you have an expectation of profit on that X. And if I even hint that you should have an expectation of profit, then I just sold you a security. That's what the Howey test is. So I would love to know how any ICO is not a security that isn't in violation of the Howey test. I would love to know anyone that bought the Ethereum token without the expectation of profit, right? So we'll see how it all ends. But basically, his defense is that there's no law on the books, therefore, you can't do anything. Now, Trendon Shavers attempted this defense, and he's now in prison, unfortunately, because him, I thought, should not have gone to prison. And I'm not sure what Charlie Shrem's defense was, but I think he also tried to claim Bitcoin's not, money or something like that, and the judges disagreed there as well. So, but this is low-hanging fruit. I mean, this is a straight-up scammer. I'm still waiting for Ethereum, right? That's the big kahuna, right? Until we have clarity on whether Ethereum token is, or at one point was, a security, none of this is like, it's not really important. It's clearly some scammer that may go to prison eventually. If I'm sure that court case will probably get postponed. So clearly you can break the law and not have to worry about anything for years.
Right. And to both your points, Tone, no case law here. And I personally I see it as a synecdoche. I don't think that this particular case matters as much, but it shows, again,
wait. That was too high level vocabulary. What's a synecdoche? Whatever. What was the word you said?
Synecdoche.
What the hell is a synecdoche?
Where a smaller point represents the whole. And that the whole being that just simply that, this whole thing is not solved yet. So synecdoche, Jimmy. No, I mean, so what do you think? I mean, what do you think about Tone's response, this article, and just none of this is coming to any conclusion for anyone. It seems from our previous articles, the regulators, the legislature, the lawyers, DOJ was involved. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking government is sure interested in a lot of stuff that's going on in this space. That's kind of what happens when there's a lot of money flowing. Bureaucrats, of course, need their share of the money. I'm sure a lot of these guys are looking for campaign contributions or lobbyists or something like that to come through from this space. And it's unfortunate, but this is how the game is played. I don't have to like it, but I understand why it's there.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. And to a couple, these stories seem to prop up a lot for us in the Bitcoin Morning Brief, even from, our previous stories with Perkins Coie and Cooley getting involved in various ways, not just, for these lawsuits of fraud and other ICOs and no one understanding and dragging their feet. But it'll be interesting also just some of the Perkins Coie lawyers who were defending certain people and involved in these cases before and are coming from the SEC. If anything materializes, which I'm pretty worried about. But okay, so 3Commas, nice name. 3Commas continues to impress with automated trading bots, more crypto exchanges. So 3Commas, the company launched in September last year. They boast that their platform has more than 22,000 active crypto traders and a daily volume of more than $6 million. And it's a new platform. And the platform, it pretty much talks about that it integrates a whole bunch of exchanges and wallets, as well as having an automated trading bot tool. So Jimmy, can you explain what you think, but also if this tech is even feasible? Honestly, I was a bit confused by what the platform.
Yeah, I'm not entirely clear on what it is that they do or how it is that they make money or what the users are supposedly doing on their platform. I mean, we all know that exchanges are making tons of money. They're probably second only to mining manufacturers in terms of profitability in the space. So not surprising that there's what sounds like some sort of derivative of that. Yeah, I don't know. Something I don't really understand. Like there are a lot of traders, and somehow they're making money off of the traders. And we know that there's a lot of traders because there's like 20,000 people that watch Tone every day. So I don't know. Maybe some of those people are on this platform. I have no idea. I'd be interested in watching the live chat if anybody actually uses this platform, can tell us what it is.
That's a good point. If you're in a live chat and you've actually used this thing, just like, let us know. So I can go ahead and jump in here. So this article seems very, very sketchy, like very sketchy. And I'm not sure where to begin. So the concept isn't bad, right? So the concept is we have a platform that connects to multiple exchanges. And you can execute your trade on any of these exchanges. So to me, it looks like this is I mean, I'm not saying 3Commas is a good idea. I'm saying the concept has the right idea, right? You have, let's say, 10 exchanges all over the world that are securing the Bitcoin. And then you have platforms like this that are acting as brokers. Like we have, interactive brokers, E-Trade, Scottrade, Ameritrade, TradeStation, like all of these brokers. And the brokers, you want to execute a trade, you're executing, you want to buy Bitcoin, and it actually would, buy Bitcoin for you on the cheapest exchange. This is how, like the one that has the liquidity for you, right? So this is kind of how the traditional market works. I put in a trade to buy, an option, let's say, and there was like 5 different option exchanges that trade options. And I get routed to the one that fills me the fastest based on what price I want to get filled at, okay? And this is how the future should work, right? The exchange should not have the users on it. The users should be on brokers. And this could be a prototype of a broker that lets you, buy on any exchange. And you don't have to create accounts on any exchanges. You just have to KYC with the broker, deposit your fiat with the broker. The broker is holding your fiat, and you're able to trade Bitcoin that sits on the exchange. And then the broker, gets to has a connection to the exchange where they become a custodian of the Bitcoin so that the exchange can't steal the Bitcoin on behalf of its users, and it can provide insurance, in case that Bitcoin is lost or stolen, right? So that's the concept, which sounded amazing as I started to read this article. Then I got to first of all, $6 million in volume is absolutely nothing. I personally know at least 5 traders that trade more than that daily, okay? At least 5, probably more, that trade more than $6 million worth of Bitcoin on a daily basis. So that's nothing. So here is where this article became a Ponzi scheme. Can you scroll up and highlight the part where
I know what you're going to say. I think average monthly profit of more than 15% and daily of around 1.5% of the bots.
Correct.
It's ridiculous. There's no way.
So apparently they have a bot.
It's further down. I'll find it.
Okay, so in there, just look for 1.5%. A little lower.
Yeah, I know.
It's in bold. It's in bold.
It's wonderful. Why isn't everybody using this?
Well, right. So this is how Ponzi schemes start. Okay, so what they're claiming is they have a bot that can make you 1.5% daily returns, And then they describe each step of the bot and in this article. And everything in that article is like, well, you can set your stop loss and you can set your exit point. Like, none of that has anything to do with the bot. So if they're claiming that someone has written a bot that can return you 1.5% per day, they are running a Ponzi scheme, because in about 3 years, you will have more money than Warren Buffett. This is nuts. So I would, just based on this article alone, I would, run like hell away from whatever this platform actually is. But the concept of an actual broker that can let you trade across any exchange without you having to KYC with every exchange is generally a good idea.
Jimmy, just as a follow-up, yeah, I agree with Tone. It absolutely sounds like a scam. And obviously it's very worrying because our exchanges here in crypto land are unregulated versus the regulation where we can audit, right, in traditional markets. Now, my question to you is, it kind of sounds a bit like Tether to me, to be honest, of where you just couldn't audit. And there was, a lot of just worry around that. I guess I would just throw it to you of, what do you think about this trading system that you can't regulate it? I mean, you can't audit it.
I mean, it's, again, a centralized party, right? Like, I don't know how you trust a centralized party unless you do it for some other reasons. There's no real trustless way to do this, at least without some form of custody being in your control, and then you only give it to them at certain intervals with like, contracts that basically make it possible to, get your money back. I just did, because, of what Tone said, in 3 years, you'd be richer than Warren Buffett. I just ran some numbers really quick. 1.5% over 1,000 days is roughly 3 million X. So if you invest $10,000, that would still put you below Warren Buffett, because I believe Warren Buffett's worth over $30 billion. But Tone's got roughly the math right. So it's kind of crazy to me that you can, like this is kind of what's promised. I think you do much better, with less risk, just holding on to Bitcoin. I don't understand why people have to be just so greedy. It's, you don't have to make, 1,000x every month or something like that. People seem to want to chase those gains at like these enormous risks. You could take a lot less risk just holding Bitcoin and selling hard forks or something like that, and you'll do just fine.
Absolutely. And as we know, though, the sexiness of algos and HFTs running through Wall Street. So
all right, now keep in mind, BitConnect was only offering 1%.
So this is more. Also, I'm yet to see someone in the live chat say that they are using 3Commas, but I'll keep monitoring that.
I saw a bunch of yeses, but
really?
Yeah, if you scroll up.
Wow, they must be rich. Hey guys, donate, please. Okay, cool. Well, the next one, and my crutches are falling on me. Okay. The basis says that the Bitcoin bottom is in. This is another ugly old goat story. Huge fan. So he is using a technique that is different from technical analysis. He's saying that, if I understood this correctly, that the premium is so small, that's why he's jumping back in. Oh, someone's saying that. Okay. And the reason that he's telling people this is because in the previous article, he was saying that he wouldn't trade. So I see this also as he's explaining himself, not to confuse people by doing what he's doing or going to do. It's very interesting. But Tone, I'll turn it right over to you, especially given your very interesting show with Tyler last night. What do you think of this article? What do you, it's the latest in our ugly old goat brief.
Yeah, so because of this article, I can no longer say that every experienced trader that I respect is skeptical of that the bottom is in. Ugly old goat looks like to be the first defector from the bearish train that's been coming at us for quite a few months now. And he seems to be turning bullish, or at least he put on a bullish trade. Now, he did explain why he got out, how he was able to get out at the top, and now he's getting in at the bottom. And he also explained how he, I think the reason why he got into this trade and didn't hold to his promise of not trading till November is because he saw that he missed a beautiful trade off of the 6,500 low. Now, I obviously missed that trade as well, even like, in my descriptions, but he actually looks at the volumes and the spreads of the futures contracts on BitMax, because he's one of the top 10 traders on BitMax, or maybe not after this, 3-month layover. And he has a strategy that he utilizes that allows him to, place the bet against over-leveraged traders in the futures market based on premiums. When the premium in the futures market gets way outside of 2-3 standard deviations of the underlying spot price, he sees that as a one-sided market, and he's happy to take the other side. And he clearly admits in that article that he would have absolutely done the trade at under 7,000 because of that exact same situation. And even though his current trade doesn't have the same beautiful numbers as his selling did at 20,000, and his buying would have been at the lows based on his strategy, he feels that there is still opportunities to the upside based on the carry. Basically, I'm not actually sure the right terminology here. Based on the spreads that he's seeing between the futures. I know it's backwardation when it's in one direction. I forgot what it's called when it's in the opposite direction. And he has entered into a bullish trade. I know he's a good trader. Like I know that for a fact. So him getting on the bullish trade, like, I wish him well. I hope he makes a lot of money on this trade. I do hope that Bitcoin goes to 100,000 this year. And I honestly would have, I'll be more than happy to pay out my $10,000 bet if Bitcoin is at $100,000, right? Because that only cost me 0.1 Bitcoin. So I end up winning at the end because I'm still holding on to my Bitcoin. However, as we will see when I get to my price predictions and my chat with Tyler yesterday, I remain skeptical of the bullish move. So I might be the last bear. Maybe me and Van Zen will be the last bears to change our mind that the bottom is in with a greater than a 50% confidence level.
So just to follow up, first, contango, I believe is the word.
Thank you.
No problem. Again, if I understood him correctly, he's also saying that, he's really trading. It's not a system or a technique, but also based on his experience and opinion. And also that he's looking at various commodities and how they act together and thinking that Bitcoin can be analyzed the same way. I believe in how he sees traditional markets. And correct, this is different to how you and Tyler and Van Zen and others are saying, except, for people who are positioned long Bitcoin, but the question maybe to you is, he's a great trader. People follow him. It's probably going to be a lot of positive response to this. Do you think that people are going to jump in after him?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. Because he's already in this trade, right? And 90% of all the amateur traders are also already in the bullish trade. So I just don't see this having that big of an effect. I mean, perhaps if you wrote an article like this, like at the lows while people were already panicking, it can lead a lot of people to change their mind. But right now, all I see is bullishness. I mean, just look at the replies to my tweet. Look at the 70% of the people think that Doug Polk's gonna win the bet and we're not gonna dip below 6,000. Like, it's weird that people keep writing to me that everyone is bearish when all I see around me is bullishness, other than a dozen or so traders that I respect, -1, ugly old goat. So to me, the overall, mood in the air is grossly bullish. Now, that's just a mood. I have no idea what these people are actually doing because, again, ugly old goat is a specialist at looking at the numbers because he actively trades and instead of doing content, and he occasionally writes a great article. So he's looking at the numbers and he thinks that it's going to get even more bullish, which is very possible. But like I said, I am on the other side of the trade against ugly old goat. Makes me feel a little bit nervous about being on the other side of his trade mentally, not in reality, but mentally is enough. So yeah, this is, let's see what happens with the price. And if the price does go above, let's say, $10,000, $11,000 in the near future, I will be more open to changing my mind and raising my percentage that the low is in. And this article would affect me in that decision.
Interesting. Yeah. Jimmy, what was your take on this article? And also he mentioned storage costs need to be reflected.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just talking about like custody and stuff like that. And, Coinbase charges a ridiculous 100 basis points per year or something. GBTC does like 200 basis points a year. It costs money unless you store it yourself. And it's not trivial to learn how to secure your own private keys and things like that. So, it either costs in terms of technical knowledge and some training possibly, or it costs in just paying somebody else to worry about that for you, at least right now. Eventually, I think there will be better solutions. And this is one of the areas in which it would be really good to sort of continue to develop the store of value proposition for Bitcoin.
Yeah, interesting. And just one last note is that it's going to be a fun one, is that he still emphasizes the importance of money management and a money management mentality. He also mentions fundamentals, but I did find that interesting in the rest of his stories. Everybody definitely check out the Trading Bitcoin last night with Tyler and Tone. I think it answered all the questions and pretty much it was very brilliant and talked about why they're thinking the way that they are. All right, Tone, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Ex-NFL star Ricky Williams studies astrology, and it's telling him to invest in Bitcoin. Tone, I think you are the soothsayer, the prophet. What, please tell me about Ricky Williams.
Well, he was a very good running back at the University of Texas. I remember that one. And NFL career, a little strange, a little weird. He couldn't give up the weed, and it was a little difficult for him. But, look, I don't care what reason brings you to Bitcoin, but your end choices can be correct regardless of the reasons that brought you to them. Some of the first investors in Bitcoin were people that needed to buy things on Silk Road, right? But it got you into Bitcoin, so it's good. Hey, I'm happy for Ricky Williams.
Jimmy, the insight that got me interested in Bitcoin was the planet Uranus is about to enter into Taurus. No, you can see the stars in Austin better than I can in Washington, D.C. Last comment. Sorry.
I don't get his reasoning. He is very much into sort of like a lot of say alternative things. I think he's like a master yogi or something like that. He's like certified to teach like at a master level yoga. He's also into a lot of other things. I also know for a fact that he's a very smart guy. I actually know people from the University of Texas that taught this guy when he was at UT. And from what I understand, he didn't need to study very much, and so he still got straight A's in all his classes. So he's not sort of your typical dumb jock or anything like that. He's actually a very smart human being. And his reasoning is a little bit weird. But like Tone said, like whatever gets you into Bitcoin, it might not be a bad thing. And his rationalization may not be something that I completely agree with. But sometimes you get into things for the wrong reasons, and then you find out the right reasons later. Hopefully he comes around and learns about what sound money is and why Bitcoin's actually interesting, and how fiat money works and all that stuff. I know he's totally capable of understanding all that.
Yeah, actually, that's really interesting point. I didn't know his background on that. And Tone, you've interviewed Cliff High. There's some interesting individuals out there. I'd be curious. We'll see how he trades. If this is a solid trading strategy, hey, I'm in to watch his morning brief. So I guess we'll follow. So
if anyone is watching this and you are friends with Ricky Williams,
sunglasses.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I need those.
We need to get him on our show. We need to get him on our show. Oh my God, Ricky Williams.
Right.
How do we reach out to Ricky Williams?
Please tell Ricky Williams. It will be an awesome interview. I have a degree in geology. It's as close as I can get to astrology. I did take my astronomy back in the day. I know they're a little bit different. But,
I took an astrophysics class once. That's over 20 years ago. But yeah, I mean, maybe we could talk about that.
But yeah, we would love to have him on our show and talk about this.
Tom, why are you wearing sunglasses?
It's dark in here.
Oh.
Wait. Why would you wear sunglasses if it's dark? You wear it when it's too bright. I don't understand this.
No, but I want to look cool. Don't you people see how cool I look in these things?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, right, no, not at all.
Jimmy and I are gonna move on. So the first version of Ethereum's Casper upgrade has been published. Jimmy, what's up?
Well, Casper, I believe, is the proof of stake thing, and they've sort of posted a version of the code. I don't think it's actually live yet. It's just sort of like, let's see how this works on testnet or something like that. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it works. You really can't tell how the miners are going to react until it's on mainnet. So, this is kind of a hard fork. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's kind of I'm really curious to see how the economics of this work out. I mean, they are sort of centralized anyway, so proof of stake might make a lot of sense in that sense. As a distribution mechanism, or as I would like to call it, a wealth confiscation mechanism from the current holders. But whatever, just from a technical standpoint, I'd like to see how it gets rolled out and how the community reacts from a social standpoint.
Thanks, Jimmy. Tone, if you can even read the article, do you have a comment on this?
Yeah, Casper the unfriendly ghost has made it into testnet. And get your popcorn ready, people, because I can't wait to see what happens when it reaches the mainnet.
All right, great. Quick things. Okay, GOP candidate for Schneiderman's job has field to himself for now. So just a note that Manny Alejandro, he's very pro Bitcoin. So he's now making a run for AG. So at least for now. So we'll see.
Okay, all right. Like that first sentence, I don't know if I could support this guy. He's munching on a salad at a steakhouse. Yeah, come on, man. You got to eat a steak at a steakhouse. What are you doing eating a salad?
Okay, that's a fair point. Okay, well, Jimmy, continue. What's up in the weather? And not in the stars with Pluto, please, with the mempool.
Yeah, so the mempool is very interesting. You can see all of these spikes. So I actually sent out something like 11 transactions yesterday, all with 1 Satoshi per byte. They all got in within 2 hours, which is very interesting because you could see all of these spikes come right back down to zero. So I don't know why people are paying 50 to 100 Satoshi per byte when you could really pay right at 1 and still get your transaction in. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. The fee estimation algorithms at some company, they're off or something like that. And it's a weird situation because, as soon as other people are paying more, you're incentivized to pay more. So it's this weird feedback loop, but they always sort of seem to clear very quickly, especially overnight. So I'm still not sure what's going on. You can get it in within a few hours, as little as 1 Satoshi per byte. I would do like 3 to 5 just to be safe. If you're doing, something in the next block, you're probably going to need to do 20 to 50. But yeah, I mean, it's still fairly cheap. You should be able to do all that without too much of a problem. Leah, you're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, that's correct. All right. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, Jimmy. And yes, one of the viewers, thanks for sending to me. That's true. The Winklevoss twins, the Winklevi, did one last patent yesterday on exchange traded products. So they're winning a lot. All right. We're off screen share. Ton.
All right. I guess it's my turn. All right. I'll show you guys my background after, but
dude, you look like a blind person right now. Like you like.
Well,
I don't want a blind person.
You know what?
Because who wears sunglasses indoors?
I'm actually not indoors. This is borderline outdoors. It's debatable.
Okay, whatever that means, I don't really want to know. Yeah.
Tone, I'm pretty sure you weren't the one that broke your leg, but have you been taking the medication that my doctor sent through? I mean, like, I don't understand what's going on.
Maybe.
That's cold, Leah. That's cold.
Clearly, the 15-year-old traders that follow me left and right will completely agree that I actually am blind by looking at the Bitcoin charts. All right. Just as a heads up, since it happened to be on my background, this is my new website, tonebase.com. Check out the workshop section where you can go ahead and register for Philadelphia. Some people have already registered. I got to adjust the seat count. I thought it was automated. I got to double check. And if not, I got to adjust that manually. Other than that, let's go straight to the price of Bitcoin. I looked at this yesterday with Tyler, so let's take a look at it today. And I remain of the belief that we are replicating this area of 2014, mostly because we had fallen below the purple line, which is the 30-week moving average. We did not close below the 50-week moving average. We bounced off of the 50-week moving average and ran right into the 30-week moving average before getting rejected from there back to the downside. We have now done all of that, and we are slowly being rejected by the 30-week moving average. So if we break above the 30-week moving average, I would still need to see the 7-week moving average have a golden cross versus the 30, and then we can consider being back into a bull market. But for now, I believe this is still a bull trap and a dead cat bounce, even though this dead cat bounce happens to be 50%. But that's fine. So my weekly view, as I zoom in, remains in neutral, actually, at the moment. Well, no, more bearish than neutral because we got rejected, right? The only thing that's keeping me borderline bullish is that we can stagnate here, get to a 9, maybe a little higher, can't get it a little bit lower because this is the 5 candle. So we can still have 4 more weeks of neutral to upside before getting to a 9, and then I would be bearish completely. So the only thing that's giving me a minor consideration towards another 4 weeks of the bull market that we've had since early April is the fact that we are on a 5 of 9. Daily, let's see what it looks like. So the daily, the daily has bounced all the way to 9,300. I actually did not even know that. It looks like in my other videos, I had suggested that there would be a short trade on the table off of this red line. I also would have suggested that since we had fallen this far down, you would set your stop loss so that this trade would never cost you any money, and it didn't. It's a lot harder to trade short than it is to trade long in every market. So right now, the daily chart is still in a bearish posture, but there's no actual short trade on there. So I can go ahead and delete these things. And however, if you did go short off of the moving average rejection, you may or may not still be in this trade, or you may have taken some profit, or your stop loss might have gotten hit. So I will not be bullish the daily chart at all unless we break this line. We would need to break this line, or we would need to go lower, then I'd have another metric, right? But if we continue to go up, I would consider this to be short-lived, and the proper trade is to the downside. And however, if you go above this green line, which currently sits at 98.50, let's say 98.50, 98.55, 98.65, whatever, above this line, you can consider possibilities of more upside, but then you're going to run into the 200-day moving average, which should once again reject you in a similar fashion as the 128-day moving average did. So where are my numbers? Oh, hold on. I got to refresh.
Random number generator.
There it is. So we are on an 8, and look how perfectly we bounced off of the 50-day moving average. Absolutely beautiful. A perfect bounce off the 50-day moving average. Again, I was hoping that we would fall a bit slowly so that a candle like this would not be a 7 candle. It would ideally be a 9 candle, or an 8 candle is also acceptable. We bounced a little bit early. So based on traditional trading, this is a hammer that gave you the low with a bounce off the 50 on a 12-hour candle, and therefore you would have a bullish entry the moment your current candle started trading above the previous candle, with your stop loss below the bottom of the hammer candle. The 9 will be very difficult to get because your 9 would need to close below the 5. Not that difficult, but the price would have to dip and go back down. The price would have to close below the close of the 5 candle, which was $9,206. So if the next candle, which starts in about 6 hours, closes below that, or even touches below that, then I'd have my arrow with a 1 on it. I would consider that a 9 pretty much. So if we don't get a 9 and we flip color, what does that mean? Well, if it's just a single 1, it doesn't mean anything. If you get a green 2 above a green 1, it means bullish. However, according to classical, DeMark, writings, if you did not get a 9 and the trend got broken, then it only means that it's not ready to bottom yet, and it's probably going to go lower and eventually will give you a 9. So you can look at it as a glass half full, glass half empty situation. Here's the 4-hour chart. Again, this red line must have meant that you have a short trade based on this chart pattern. And this blue line would have meant that's where my stop loss would have been. However, I clearly did not do a video since this 5 candle came out. And those that attended my trading seminar would learn that on a candle like the 6 candle, I would have set my stop loss somewhere in the middle of that candle. So in reality, if I did have this short trade, my exit would have been at around $9,125 on the upside off of this spinning top candle. This is exactly what I teach. And if you're watching this and you've attended my workshop, you would have to agree, because that's what you saw in the workshop. This is the hourly chart, and we are going into the cloud. We just got a 9 on the hourly chart. Looks like the candle following the 9 was a beautiful reversal candle. So for me, if you're trading the hourly chart, there is a beautiful trade coming up right now. If the price dips under 93.15. So, and your stop loss would be the top of the shooting star candle. And the moment, you go down, you can set a break-even stop loss. That's what traditional trading will tell you. This, however, is not trading advice, since this video may sound like it. And it was really like, look at these arrows, the 9, this was a 9 at some point, then closes a 9. Perfect buying opportunity. Granted, you did go lower on the next candle, but your stop loss would have been the swing low, which you never crossed. So you could have also waited for a green 2 to be above a green 1, which didn't happen, but a green 3 went above a green 2, and now it's looking like a reversal, but you got to be careful. This can be a 1 to 4 candle reversal and then more upside, right? So you have to reevaluate these trades after the 9s. That's pretty much it for me. What is this? This is gold, hasn't done anything. I'm curious. Oh, beautiful. Is this the NASDAQ? That's the weekly NASDAQ. Oh my God, NASDAQ must be going through the roof on a daily chart. And there it is. That's a beautiful weekly NASDAQ candle. I'm sorry, that's the S&P candle. So the S&P is going up. This is the NASDAQ candle. I want to see daily. I want to see what this candle looks like. Very nice. Please watch my conversation with Tyler from last night. We talked about this briefly, but we talked about it. And absolutely check out the Hyperwave, the last episode of Hyperwave. It was probably one of the best podcasts I've seen this entire month. It was excellent, Leah. Also learned a little bit more about boxing. It was great. It was absolutely great.
Thanks, Tone. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Actually, Tone, have you ever seen the movie K-Pax?
Is that with Kevin Spacey?
It is.
Is that? No, I'm confusing that with the one where
he's from another planet. He wears sunglasses all the time. I should say there's some similarities, except for not with Kevin Spacey, with the character. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, and one is a talented actor, but I think we have very similar hair now.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. This is a Bitcoin Morning Brief. You could listen later on iTunes, thanks to the World Crypto Network. Jimmy, how are you doing? And also any upcoming seminars you could tell us about?
Well, first, I want to point viewers to the interview I did on Coral yesterday with Tim Draper and Kyle Samani. That was a lot of fun. If you like arguing back and forth, I did plenty of that with Tim.
I hate doing that.
That's actually more fun for me. And I could tell like he doesn't get pushed back that often. So it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. As far as seminars, I got one next week in New York. That one's pretty much sold out, so you're probably gonna have to apply to Toronto instead, which is in a few weeks. May 28th, 29th, Sao Paulo, June 12th, 13th, and Denver, July 9th and 10th. But yeah, it's there's a lot of a lot of stuff going on next week in New York. I look forward to seeing what parties they have and hanging out with people. So yeah, if you're a Consensus, come say hi. I'm going to be speaking at the end of the first day. So trying to get Tone a press pass. We'll see how that works.
Keep trying.
Awesome. Yeah, the interview is incredible, guys. There's someone in the live chat, Jimmy, that says where to find it. So we'll definitely all put it up on Twitter later. It is absolutely fantastic. Tone?
Yeah, so I think it's full screen time. So I am the weather is good. I'm back in the woods, and this is you'll be able to see right there. There's the miner. Jeez, the chair in the way.
I just see your backpack, man. There it is. Okay.
See the miner?
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I see it.
Miner. It is still not running. I haven't even had time to look at it. There's the old miner. There's the old miner. Slightly smaller, but about the same. Those are the Canon Avalon miners, and I still have not figured out how to connect the new one yet. And I may not get to it today because so you see that pile of wood?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that wood, man?
Well, that's what this is going to be for.
You chop wood for fun? Why do you need to chop wood for? Are you a lumberjack in your spare time? What are you doing?
Yeah, no, do you not see where I live in the summertime? No, because like all that wood came from the property next door. Because as you can see, this thing that I'm in now is kind of old. but maybe you won't be able to see it. But I actually I bought the property next door and chopped down like about 18 trees.
With an axe? You didn't even use a chainsaw?
No. I had professionals do it. I'm not that crazy. And but no, it's I mean no, you make fires here. You know, we have Leah over. She'll bring her guitar, maybe the banjo.
Don't. So I have a question though. Now I still see the axe, but there was a machete there before.
Yeah, there was. Thank God I had it.
Where'd it go?
It's there. It's still there. He didn't swallow it.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah, that's this bad boy here.
Oh boy. Okay.
What's that machete for? I'm kind of afraid to ask, but I kind of want to know.
Usage varies daily.
Huh. Okay.
Just as mysterious. Yeah. Yeah. I think this song is definitely done right now.
Sure. Tone. I don't even want to ask. Oh God.
Bye, guys.
Where's the good luck trading? Come on.
Oh yeah. Good luck trading. Nah, they don't need luck. They're all bulls. It's going to $1 million by end of the year. You guys don't need luck.
Guys, win trailer. That's it. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye, guys. See you on the next one.